Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Nordic Sound Channel, the #1 place for Nordic music this side of the Mississippi. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different today in terms of videos. First off, if you haven't met him yet, this is Henry, the 4-month-old lab puppy that I am babysitting all week long. And I'm also house sitting, hence the very nice change of scenery around here. For those of you worrying about where's Cricket, don't you worry. He is home with mom right now, getting plenty of attention and scritches, unlike this guy seems to think that he's not getting enough of, hence the temper. You gonna do this all video? Huh? You wanna rip me up in front of everyone? So, as I said, today I'd like to do something a little bit different and share my thoughts on the recent band lineup announcement for Midgardsblot 2023. As many of you know, huge fan of Midgardsblot. It's probably my favorite festival. Look forward to every year. You gonna do this the whole video, huh? Huh? He's gonna do this the whole video. Go get it. So, Runa, the organizer for Midgardsblot, a few weeks ago now at this point, put out the first round of band announcements for the 2023 Midgardsblot lineup. And I gotta say, super stoked about it. It's looking like, at least just from this first announcement, that it's gonna be a pretty sweet lineup, but very different from last year, and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. So while I'm already familiar with an overwhelming majority of these bands, there are a couple that I've never even heard of before. And so I'm not really going to share my thoughts on those bands. Instead, I'm going to ask you guys to share your thoughts on them down in the comments or on the various social media posts. These bands include My Dying Bride. Never heard of them, never listened to them. I'm feeling like I'm a little under a rock with that one if they're headlining the festival. And then just two more after that is Sylvain. I think I've heard of them before, but I've never listened to them. And Nemours, never heard of them, never listened to them. So for these three bands, I would love for you guys to share your thoughts on how you think they're going to fit in with the whole Midgardsblot vibe. So, moving right along, let's start with the supporting acts. God Mio are two folk rock fusion bands, or folk rock hybrid bands. Huge fans of them. I actually just interviewed God last week, and that interview is going to be up soon. Really lovely group of guys. Really enjoyed talking to them. They got a really cool vibe going on. So I'm really looking forward to them, especially because the guitarist is, at least as far as I understand, primarily a metal guitarist. We kept referring to him as the Meshuggah-loving guitarist. So at least the guitarist is going to be in his element. But they're all looking forward to it, and I think they're going to fit right in. And same with Mio. Mio put out their first demo back in 2020. What a time to put out a demo for a new band. They have some traditional elements, but I would say that they're mostly just like rock with some folk elements. And this is probably mostly due to their singer, who is an absolute beast of a vocalist. If you listen through their demo, she is such a vocal powerhouse, and it's really unique voice, and I really can't wait to see her live. And the rest of the band too, but that's the singer. I really want to see what her stage presence is like, because she's an incredible vocalist. Now, if you're not familiar with Orm, and you like black metal of any kind, go listen to Orm. When I say that they're epic, I don't mean like that cliche genre tag where if I hear strings or a horn section, I'm going to say, oh, that's epic metal. No, I mean like in terms of scale, Orm always goes for long form songwriting. And also in terms of like sound design, it always sounds like they're playing in some sort of like ancient hall. Orm, what I'm really interested about seeing them live is that their songs can go on for like 15 or 20 minutes. And I don't think I've seen a band yet in my life live that writes music that way. So I'm actually interested if they will do like the full 15, 20 minute runtime on their songs, or if they have like abridged versions that they play live. Anyway, I think it's going to be really interesting to see them live because they're really talented musicians. They take a very artistic approach to their black metal, which I always appreciate. Next up, we've got a great one, and this is Jolten. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, despite the alternate spelling with the I and the O at the beginning. This is a Danish Faroese extreme metal band. They're kind of similar to Enslaved in their approach to clean vocals and orchestration and use of synths. But they're not like an Enslaved clone. They have their own defined sound that I am really stoked to finally see live after quite a long time of listening to them. Next up on the list, we have longtime dark folk legends Buena joining us at Midgardsblot. I was wondering when they would come. These guys, if you're not familiar with them, I'm actually genuinely surprised. They're very long-standing icons in that sort of dark folk, folky metal, not really metal, but like acoustic heavy metal genre that we all know and love today. Seriously, it's going to be really cool seeing them live. This festival is pretty much made for them, so that's going to be great. Well, moving right along, we've got a pretty strong lineup of the supporting acts right under the headliners. Sewulo just put my album review of their latest album, Verdis, up on YouTube yesterday. I'm really looking forward to seeing them live. They have a great sound, great presence, really defined personality, and I think they're going to fit right into. So now on to some pretty iconic Nordic metal acts that are going to be here. Einherjar. I could not have been more stoked to see Einherjar on this list. They have been long-standing Viking metal dudes. They really know the genre, and I have never seen them live, but I assume they know how to work a crowd. Their latest album, The North Star, I think the album was called The North Star. Really banging tracks like Stars and Ascension really hit hard. I hope they do Stars live. I can really see that being a real crowd pleaser. And then, of course, we have Norwegian black metal legends Kampfar. These guys, their latest album, Til Klovers Takt, was an absolute return to form for these guys. But it was like a return to form, but it was also really fresh. I've listened to that album probably every day for the last month or so. I really cannot get enough of that second track in particular. But this is like that pagan go walk in the woods style of black metal that, again, pretty much Midgardsblot was made for. So between Einherjar and Kampfar, the Nordic metal fans are going to be super pleased with this first round of lineup. Now, before I talk about Enslaved, we have one more to talk about, and this is probably the one that I am most excited about. Buena, who was just recently signed to Buena Records. She has been a long-time Sami music icon ever since at least her 1997 Gula Gula. If you haven't listened to that album, please go listen to it. It is so good. You will definitely see where Einar Selvik, for instance, gets a lot of his influence. Even to his words, Einar Selvik is very open about her influence on him. So, Buena, it's funny, in the airport after last year Midgardsblot, I remember I said to Matthias, I was like, hey, don't you think that maybe there should be some more Sami musicians? Not just for, token's sake at all, but more just for, if this is a Nordic music festival that really prides itself on this uniquely Nordic atmosphere that it presents, it's kind of weird leaving Sami musicians out of it for a lot of reasons. If you don't know about Sami history and the Nordics, just go read it up. Go read up on it. But to see Buena on this lineup, especially if you watched my Newtland interview with Anatoly from last fall, he lists her as one of his biggest influences too, along with Bob Dylan. So she's great. Cannot wait to see her live. I really hope people appreciate having such a legendary musician in our midst at Midgardsblot. So now with Buena talked about, let's get to the headliner I can share my thoughts on and have extensively on this channel. Enslaved. That's going to be pretty awesome seeing Enslaved live again. I saw them at Fire in the Mountains when their backdrop was the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. That was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You guys know that I could not be more positive about their latest album, so to see it played live, that's going to be quite a treat. Especially considering, Ivar is a huge part of Buena Records and was a pretty significant part of, at least I'm pretty sure, putting Midgardsblot together last year. He was out and about sort of like keeping his eye on everything. And so it's nice to see that Enslaved's going to be playing, especially with the latest album, Heimdall. And there were so many guest musicians leading up to that album, including Vardruna's horn player, Eilif. So it's going to be a real treat if they have Eilif play the opening to that album on the lure to sort of sound off that headliner. So now that I've gone through pretty much this whole lineup, just with the exceptions of the bands that I can't comment on, I do have one salient overarching thought about the difference, the potential difference between 2023 Midgardsblot and 2022 Midgardsblot. So let's think of the lineup from last year. Vardruna and Heilung. That's a very specific vibe and aesthetic, all right? 2023's lineup, Enslaved and My Dying Bride. That is a very specific vibe and aesthetic, all right? And so now, without making a value judgment on either type of aesthetic, I just want you to think of the differences between the demographic that will see Vardruna and Heilung headlining a festival and buy tickets and go ship themselves off to see it, versus the demographic that's going to see Enslaved or My Dying Bride headlining a festival and ship themselves off to go spend a week listening to them. I think that just judging by the headliners, we can expect 2023 to be, I'm going to say, noticeably different in the crowd, or at least the aesthetic or general vibe of the festival. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I've only been once. I'm not one of those who have been there like every year since it started like 5 years ago. But that's just my assumption, is just based on the difference between Vardruna and Heilung headlining versus My Dying Bride and Enslaved. I'm just curious at how different the vibe is going to be at Midgardsblot. Not for worse, not for better, just different. And considering, as I said, I've only been there once, I think it might be a little, it could potentially be very noticeable going from what I've expected based on one festival to going to a second one, and it could be entirely different. Now, with that said, Folket Bortover Nordavinden with Benny is still doing the ritual at the beginning, which I am absolutely stoked to attend again. Hopefully I'll actually be able to be a part of it. Last year the line was just overwhelmingly long, and my friends found out that we could just wait until they packed up and we could just use the pool of blood that was sitting in the grass in front of the stage after everyone was packed up. So I do think that it's not going to be like so different that it's no longer Midgardsblot, right? But at the same time, I'm really curious as to how different it might be comparing the headliners Vardruna and Heilung to My Dying Bride and Enslaved. That's pretty much all I'm getting at here. So guys, that wraps up my thoughts on the first round of band announcements for 2023's Midgardsblot. I really think we're in for a good time between Enslaved, Buena, Einherjar, Ganger, and Mio, and Garmina. There's just too much to there's too much to be excited about that I can't really see many people looking at this lineup and going, meh. There's just something for everyone in here, and I really think that's the ideal Midgardsblot lineup that we want to be hoping for every year. So guys, please share your thoughts down below in the comments on the bands I couldn't comment on. My Dying Bride, Sylvain, Nemour. I just feel like I'm not saying that right at all. I would love to hear what I'm missing out on there. I'm assuming if they're playing at Midgardsblot, there's something there that I'm missing out on. Maybe I'll get to it a little bit later, but as you guys know, I've got a pretty long list of to listen. The job of a musicologist never ends in that regard. So, thank you guys for watching this little shake-up in the video format. Looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on Midgardsblot 2023. Let me know who's going to be there. Hopefully we can meet up. I've already got my week-long camping pass and the 4-day festival pass. So definitely looking forward to it, especially from this lineup. I think we're in for a really good time. So guys, take care. If you liked the video, like, share, subscribe. And of course, if you want to support the channel more directly, the work that I do more directly, go to patreon.com/baldscald. Got a few Patreon tiers over there. We've got, these very kind supporters right here who support the work that I do. So guys, don't be strangers. Share your thoughts, and I'll see you next time on the Nordic Sound channel. I'm going to go pet Henry now. I think he needs it. All right, you guys take care.